Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rebooked. It is Thursday, and you know what that means. Yeah. That's right. It's our TNA-focused episode because, of course, every week on Thursday is TNA Impact, and you'll be hearing a lot of me if you watch TNA Impact, so I am sorry for you. But fortunately for you guys right now, it's not just me. Of course, we've got GB, we've got Jake, and we are going to break down all the latest comings and goings of TNA Wrestling's universe. Fellas, how you feeling?
Oof, excited. We got a good day of TNA coming up here. And we also have a lot of things to talk about because some stuff has happened and it's been awesome. So yeah, I'm doing good and I'm excited.
It's early.
It is, yeah. We had to get this recorded at a separate time, and it is a little early on the West Coast, but we get it done.
It's only less than 10 a.m. Come on, it's 9:51. Come on, guys.
Hey.
Oh, Dave, this is a bad idea.
We know Jake's
climbing.
up tonight.
Sorry, my cat is climbing on a precariously placed item.
Well, that's a great tie-in because at Sacrifice, Moose was precariously walking across that ladder against the legend Jeff Hardy, which we did talk about in our previous episode. But precarious is what sometimes the Impact Zone is all about. So, fellas, without further ado, GB, let's get to those narrative notes for TNA this past week. Last week, as we head into this week, we saw Joe Hendy and Elias team up, this tandem, this musical duo, if you will, continuing to team up. Took on Eddie Edwards and Brian
the Simon
Myers
and Garfunkel
of TNA Wrestling.
Or the Garfunkel and Oates, or whatever. Yeah. Simon and Garfunkel.
Who's who, though? Oh, who's Garfunkel? That's going to be the issue.
I'm not versed in enough of Garfunkel to know.
Well, Garfunkel is the Genetti. Let's put it that way.
Maybe they're more Hall and Oates.
Okay.
Hall and Oates. Joe is Daryl Hall.
Okay.
Joe's Daryl Hall, and Elias is Oates.
I'll let him.
I'm glad we got there.
This is the main event. It was a tag team match. The System was trying to rebound from a big loss in that big cage match at Sacrifice. And my thing here was just like, the question I guess I'll pose is, does it kind of feel like the world title, Joe Hendy, and so is kind of in this weird holding pattern at the moment?
I will say yes. And I think it's because of the fact that we're just getting so many of these NXT matches and these NXT title matches. That being said, though, I'm also not like that bothered by it because like the TNA Championship is getting just so much more exposure, right? So like, because the World Championship is getting out there a little bit more, because the World Champion is getting out there more, I feel like it's okay. Like, I'm fine with this right now, but I really do want to know who in the TNA roster is stepping up to the champion next. Like I want to see more Frankie Kazarian in there. I definitely want to see more Frankie Kazarian in there. Does Moose get another? I know Moose is over in X Division land right now, but do we see some movement with the System? Like I don't know. I really want to see who's going to be the person that steps up.
What if the person who steps up just tagged with him?
That's what a lot of this has that feeling. A lot of people have been speculating this has that classic feeling of like, you're too friendly too fast.
You can't trust. You never know what his name is.
He's a drifter.
He's a
skeezy drifter from down the road.
He's got 30 different identities.
Listen, just because he's a drifter doesn't mean he's a bad guy. He could just be a lone soul. You
pick up hitchhikers. Let me tell you,
he's not a lone soul. He clearly has like personality disorders. Of course, I mean the man is. I don't know,
but to Jake's point, yes, that is the speculation often going like not a matter of if, but when. Although I will say Elias as a character, Elijah. Oof. Even I got caught. Oof. Even I got debated there. Oof. Freudian slip from my time with him. Elijah, he has gone on record. His character on the show has said, "Hey Joe, like, of course I'm interested in the TNA World Title one day, but like, I'll give it to you face to face. I'll challenge you." He gave him that kind of a spiel. So we have no reason to distrust him yet.
Yeah,
other than
his entire history.
Yes, pretty much.
The way that Elijah's being called out here, unbelievable.
Listen, and I love me some Elijah. I love some Elijah.
He came out on a horse. Sacrifice.
He did.
He rode a horse into the building, and it didn't take a shit, which was
like
great.
The Old Spice guy.
And Brick killed the guy.
He didn't, or the horse didn't.
Tay the horse. It was
fantastic. Because I have worked with a horse. I worked with a horse on a Best Buy commercial I was in one time, and that son of a bitch peed everywhere. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Horses don't
it's just funny when you see like I was at work and like you see the rehearsal schedules and it'll be like, like Joe Hendy promo, it'll be like, Tessa Blanchard entrance and music, blah blah blah, and then like 3 p.m. horse.
Elijah horse.
Not even Elijah, just horse. So it was pretty good.
That's me and that. Here we go. That's me and the horse that peed everywhere.
There he
Yeah, that guy.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
They had to change our marks because he kept leaning over to me because he liked me.
Damn.
Yeah.
Biggest egos in the biz, biggest penises in the
Horses.
biz. But anyway.
Me and the horse? I don't know.
Good Lord. This went off the rails real fast. We were talking about the main event. So anyway, we'll see what happens with the world title. We're going to be building to Rebellion. We actually, you're seeing this, I'll be headed to Missouri to film those episodes building to Rebellion. But speaking of our time spent in El Paso, last week we did see the return of one Chavo Guerrero Jr. to El Paso, hometown hero, extended family member of mine, and was a guest with First Class, as well as a little interruption by Frankie Kazarian, GB.
Yeah, I thought that this whole section was so funny because Frankie Kazarian just comes out and, again, First Class is hilarious. These guys are great. But Frankie Kazarian comes out and he mentioned something that happened in 2012 between him and Chavo. And that's the basis for this whole interaction. And I just think stuff like that is just hilarious. It really is. It doesn't underscore anything. It makes it feel like Frankie Kazarian is just this bitter dude who's petty, who's just going to go around and bother people. And I actually want him to keep doing this. I think it'll be really funny if he just keeps coming out and just keeps finding shit in the Frankie Kazarian lore to just be like more and more bitter about and just pull from that. Kind of like what John Cena's doing with the spinner belt reference.
A little bit.
Like that, like referencing the past. Like these guys have passed that, like,
we went to eat together 7 years ago, and we split the bill. But your meal was more expensive.
You drank.
You owe me $3.
Yeah, I did. Exactly.
You had a beer.
I didn't want appetizers. You wanted appetizers.
And then that is the basis for Frankie Kazarian versus Eric Young moving forward into another feud.
I'll allow it. That's legitimate beef.
I take it.
He's fantastic, and like just when he did his heel turn, he fully went into the just like bitter, petty as all hell. He throws Tom's water every time he comes out. Just takes it off the desk and throws it down the aisle. Like he's not cool. He's not trying to get over. He's just the biggest douche in the world.
That's what the character strikes me as, right?
Yeah.
When I see the way that he's dressed and the way that he's presenting himself, it strikes me as like early 2000s, like a douche guy who spells like extreme only with an X, and doesn't use the E like it's properly supposed to be implemented.
Wears way too much cologne that he bought at Macy's.
Yeah, if he wanted to,
a lot of Dracar Noir.
Might frost those tips on his hair, just like that's the kind of person that I think Frankie Kazarian's playing right now, and I'm all about it. I'm on board. I dig it. It's awesome.
But that's fun. And in part of this week's preview, we will see Chavo Guerrero return to action in a 6-man tag team match tonight when this releases on TNA Impact. But other things around the TNA story sphere, if you will. We just got a little bit of an update from Steve Maclin. He's got this longer kind of drawn out story with Eric Young that I think is pretty interesting because Eric Young was kind of like the first guy who Steve Maclin kind of turned babyface with and like was the first guy he like teamed up with, because Maclin's just been this kind of like bitter heel his whole TNA run, and like Eric Young kind of turned him, and it was like the one guy he trusted, the one guy he could like have his back and everything. And then subsequently, Eric Young turned heel when Josh Alexander left. And so now there's been this like, it's actually pretty interesting because like Maclin is still a babyface, Eric Young is a heel, but they still have this like, dude, like, you're my friend and I respect you, but what the hell are you doing? And of course, Eric Young is trying to like bring him to the dark side, and Maclin is just telling him like, leave me the hell alone.
Yeah, I really want to know where this goes.
I have to imagine they're going to clash somewhere, but like so far it's been kind of kept at this like, you do you, but I want no part of it. And what's going to send Maclin over the edge to just say, F it, I'm punching you in the face.
Plus, the Northern Armory sounds like it comes with like an amount of time you have to be, like you have to do your service within the Northern
It's like
Armory.
the National Guard.
Yeah. We meet every weekend. We run drills. Yeah. That's a lot of commitment. I understand.
The Night Watch, Dwight's Night Watch team.
Yeah. Guardian Angel.
Knights of the Night.
Knights of the Night. Oh, dude, I'm all about it. I am excited to see where this story goes. And of course for Maclin, who, continues to see, more and more of his stock rising. I really want to see what comes out of this for Maclin moving forward, because I tell you what, there's a perfectly, ripe opportunity for a Maclin Moose, couple matches for the X Division title. You know what I mean? Get him ready for that. I don't know. Takes on a team, gets ready to tear down the system. I mean, I think the idea of Steve Maclin tearing down the system is like a really cool story, and especially with the character that he's had throughout the years. I think it would be pretty dope. But anyway, that's a little bit of fantasy book in there,
bro. He could be the Jack Bauer of TNA and just infiltrate and kill from the inside.
We need a Jack Bauer character and a guy who just commits heinous crimes, but yet just constantly
in the name of saving the world.
Yeah, man.
In the name of
Maclin's
saving
got
the world.
That military background.
I love it.
We harp on that a lot.
I co-sign.
But moving right along, Mike Santana and Ali, who we highlighted last week, they are continuing, despite what Mustafa Ali says that he is done. He beat Mike Santana with shenanigans. Says he's done with him. They had a rematch. Ali bails. Clearly, these two are not done. My quick question, don't have to overthink about it, guys. Clearly, this is going to another big match. I would have to imagine at Rebellion. Even I don't know yet. If these two, how do these two settle it? What kind of match should these two have to settle their issue? GB.
Man, I think cage. Throw him in a cage, I think, is always going to be a good option. But you need it to be something that is that will keep out the shenanigans and keep Ali in the ring, right? Because that's kind of like what's happening here. So I think a cage makes sense. But you just did a cage, so I don't know if you do another cage. Maybe a street fight is always fun, but that doesn't solve the problem, but keeps the feud going, maybe. I don't know. Jake, what do you think?
I mean, I was leaning cage match too, but now that you say that, like, I don't know.
Strap match?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, a strap match would
Can't
be
run
good.
too far with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, and that's perfect for Mike Santana.
Collar match.
Yeah, dog collar match. Do a dog collar match. I think that would be perfect because Mustafa Ali is like, oh, I'm so high and mighty, I'm the best, blah blah blah. And here's Mike Santana. You want to get in the mud? You want to be a dog? I actually really like that. I really like that. I actually think that could be a really and those two tied up together in a dog collar match. Good God, that'd be brutal. Yeah,
I mean, they'll tear the house down regardless.
Let us know in the comments down below what match you want to see Mike Santana and Ali have. Whether or not you think dog collar, cage match, strap match, lumberjack. Let us know in the comments down below. Love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Also, we have a question. We have a question in tomorrow's episode that we want people to answer in our comments. That when you listen, think Mustafa Ali, because now I think he would be a great person.
Oh, yeah.
As an answer to that question.
Yeah.
And I'll keep that for the viewers.
You have to watch Rebooked tomorrow, everyone.
You got to watch Rebooked tomorrow. Yeah.
Tune in.
All right.
But wrapping up our narrative notes real quick, we saw some more NXT invasion as the teams of Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, and not only that, but Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley made their way into the Impact Zone, along with Spitfire, the former Knockouts Tag Champions, and of course, Ash and Heather by Elegance and the personal concierge.
Best.
Everybody, it all broke down. Santino was involved. Clearly, again, we're getting some kind of scramble here. But I love seeing, thanks to the NXT, because I think our TNA Knockouts division, specifically the tag, is it's a little light.
Mm-hmm.
So having some characters come over from NXT really livens that whole division up. So especially for the Knockouts tag title, which has pretty much only been 2 teams for the past 6 months or so.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll be really cool to see all of this go forward and see how this all explodes, because we know that it will. But as we move right on, we also saw that Masha Slamovich's Knockouts world title, of course, is going to be in jeopardy once again. We kind of saw this coming when Tessa Blanchard returned, beat Jordan Grace. We knew she was going to the top, but she has made it very explicitly clear that she is coming for Masha Slamovich and the Knockouts world title. 2 very, let's just say, physical wrestlers who will probably beat the ever-loving tar out of each other.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of those, there's going to be blood somewhere in that matchup.
Yeah.
If and when it happens, which we know it's going to happen.
Yeah. I like that they're starting to put the building blocks in right now. And then Masha's still dealing with people attacking her. Like JC Jane had just attacked her.
Running in.
Yeah. So I like that there's this overarching, this bigger narrative thread that's up above, which is Masha and Tessa. And then underneath that, you have, hey, here are the stops that Masha's taking, right? She's fighting this person, defending the title here, representing TNA on NXT television, representing, I don't think she's done that yet, but representing.
She's appeared. She hasn't wrestled, but she's appeared on NXT,
even then,
in the crowd or backstage.
Sacrifice defending the title, right? Successfully against
Cora
NXT.
Jade.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I think it's really cool that we're still getting this. But honestly, though, what I really do want to see with this story is it feels a lot like, we've been there, done that with Tessa, and it feels, funny enough, a little Charlotte Flair-ish, where it's kind of the same thing again. But I think that could be by design, or at least I'd like to think it could be by design, because I'd like to see Tessa struggle. I'd like to see Tessa lose this and realize, holy crap, maybe the division has expanded. Maybe things have gotten better, and I now need to step up. Since her time being away, I don't know. I would really like for them to go that route and tell an actual story that kind of humanizes the character a little bit more, so that this way there's
has it passed me by?
Yeah.
Has this division?
Does it humanize her?
Does it,
or does it send her deeper down the well of I'm going to get worse and nastier and more violent?
And that's a great, I think, story to tell either which way you go. I think that's a good story to tell regardless, because it still is interesting. Whether it's you descend further into madness or you accept your shortcomings and try to become a better wrestler. I think there's still there's wins no matter what. And I hope they go that route.
Change, evolution of some kind.
Yeah. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to see that play out on TV.
That brings us to our main topic of discussion, which of course was, after the heinous actions at Sacrifice, Nic and his little brother, Ryan Nemeth, Little Briggles himself, came out. We got the classic "Why, Nic? Why?" promo, the explanation. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you go check it out. It was pretty typical, I think, kind of like a heel explanation. Nic was talking about how he came to TNA, he became the man, was kind of helped put TNA back on the map again, and as we've had this kind of hell of a run the last year or two. And said that the Hardys, Matt Hardy in particular, kind of slithered in there like a snake and stole that spotlight. As the Hardys are rock stars. So
look, for starters, he's wearing a Cleveland Browns jacket.
Oh, Cleveland proud. Oh yeah. Not going to take that away from him.
Look, I like
poor guy's had a chip on his shoulder his whole life.
I like that they I think that this serves a lot of purposes and it does a lot of good, right? I think firstly, it takes Nic Nemeth away from the title picture, which is good. It's okay, right? It kind of gets Nic more involved in the TNA.
And he doesn't need it.
He doesn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's nice to see him there, but I mean, he is such a plug and play guy. Like he fits in anywhere. He can do anything with anybody. So like I think it'll be fun seeing him in the tag division.
I agree. I think him, and then also too, to continue who it serves, it also serves Ryan really well because it gives Ryan, a lot to do. And you're going into like a story now with the Hardys, which is, going to be great. But I want to see Nic Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth get some big tag wins under their belt. I think that'll be really big for them. And I really want to see where they could take this, right? Like they could go in so many different directions of like, is it Ryan's, like up and coming story? Is it Nic Nemeth realizing that he's, carrying his brother across the finish line in these matches? Or is it the start of a really, truly great, brother tag team, which there aren't a lot of, but when you get them in feuds, it's exciting. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff.
We had talked off the show a little bit about it, kind of going back and forth, and I did some research into it. TNA, as far as I know, unless either Garrett Kidney or somebody else who has more even detailed info than me, I don't think we've ever had a true like blood, like actual shoot brothers versus brothers rivalry. There's been a few off matches with certain teams over the years, but in TNA anyway, brothers versus brothers rivalry, I don't think it's ever really happened. So you get to tread some new ground. Though I do have to say, as much as I love everybody involved in this feud, in this story, the tag of like, we are the best brother tag team, kind of like it screams of like little kid energy of like, my brother can beat up your brother. We're the best brother team. It just sounds kind of funny in wrestling parlance.
But I love how Ryan Nemeth though is such a simp for his brother though. You know what I mean? Like it's really funny. And he comes and he's like, my brother. So it actually does give off that energy in the best 100%. Way possible, which I appreciate, they lean into it for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, the other thing is, we're going to get Leon Slater involved in this. I'll talk a little bit more about that later as we preview tonight's episode. But look, again, we know they're clearly getting set up to wrestle with the Hardys here. We're going to a match. We don't know where. I imagine, again, everything's built into Rebellion. I imagine it'll be somewhere along that lines.
Yeah.
Fellas, let me say, do you think there is a world where Nic and Ryan Nemeth win the TNA tag titles off the Hardys?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
How could they not? I'm not saying it feels inevitable. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to disrespect the Hardys like that. But
it's pretty close.
But
I don't know. I think that if you wanted to really establish, and we've already made this point multiple times on this show, you drape them in gold, you give them that opportunity to shine. And, we know, Nic Nemeth was a world champion. So statistically speaking, right, like, it's more on his side, right? Like he has a little bit more of that, like, I guess the meter's better on his end than it is on the Hardys end, if you want to go in video game terms. So I feel a little bit more confident in that direction. And then I also think too, that it's good because it starts to pull the tag titles away from some of these groups that have been circling it for a while as well. It gets new people involved in the division, which is great. Having the Nemeths hold tag gold would be great. I think that would be really, really good for the overall health of the tag division, to have like a really good bad guy tag team that's disconnected from any, faction or team or bigger team, and just let them roll with it for a while and be chicken shit tag team heels. That'd be good.
I'm interested to see how the rest of the tag division responds to it, because what a shitty way to jump the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And are other teams going to take a page out of the Nemeth playbook and see if they can jump the line the same way too? Is that going to cause problems for Nic and Ryan before they even get to the Hardys?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it definitely adds some good spice to the tag division.
Some meat on the bone.
The one thing I was thinking, and I will say, is when you have like Ryan Nemeth, when you let him kind of go, he's very funny. He's very entertaining. And to be fair, Nic can be too, but we've just seen Nic in a more serious light, generally speaking, especially in TNA. But my one hope is that while, like I said, like the brother tag team thing is kind of funny and lighthearted in its own way, let's not forget this is all starting when the Nemeth brothers bloodied the ever-living crap out of Matt Hardy in a cage, locked in while everybody watched. So while I do think there's room for some entertainment, some haha and everything, this started on a pretty heavy note. I hope I hope we kind of keep that grit, at least maybe until this first big match or title change or whatever it is. And then once we've kind of peppered through this initial part of the story, we can kind of maybe expand and that we can have a little bit more, but
you can still be funny and despicable.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep that balance.
It is a fine line.
I would also wouldn't mind if Ryan's the one that's kind of being the, the butt of the joke, so to speak. And you have Nic, who's like the serious, like, I want to get shit done type of personality, because that's kind of the vibe.
Maybe he's got to rein in his little brother,
exactly,
which has kind of been what's been happening so far.
Right.
Yeah, because Ryan's going to run his mouth to the point where it's going to cause a problem, and I think that's kind of that's the story that you should be telling here. It's the inevitable demise, if you will, of Ryan Nemeth alongside his brother Nic, right? And riding the coattails, so to speak, of his brother, which is a really compelling story to tell, and one that we don't really have on TV right now, I don't think, across any of the promotions. So they have an opportunity here to really have some fun with it and tell a unique story, without a doubt.
Those are the major headlines. Those are the major stories from TNA Impact from the last week, which takes us to the end of our show, which is Matt has the pencil, Matt has the paper. I give you the official TNA Impact preview. Again, it's Thursday when this releases, so it'll be on tonight. Access TV, TNA Plus, Sportnet 360 in Canada, and others around the world. But folks, there's some good stuff. All right, this is my Walter Cronkite moment.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. The floor is yours.
I didn't comment. No, so we are going to see Mance Warner and Sami Callihan. We're not done here. They're going to have a little bit of a war of words, a face-to-face. We'll get an update on that situation between them. We are going to see Ash and Heather by Elegance take on Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. A little bit of a preview of that NXT invasion into the Knockouts tag division. We will see that previously mentioned 6-man tag with Chavo Guerrero and the Aztec Warriors taking on First Class and Frankie Kazarian. The 12-year beef will get squashed.
That match is going to be amazing. I cannot wait.
And a little preview. I don't know if we're previewing this officially. Beef.
That sounds like a great name of like a rom-com or something.
The
12-year beef.
Like the 7-year itch. The 12-year beef. And then Masha Slamovich will face JC Jane from NXT as well after getting jumped by the NXT superstar. And then, folks, I literally forget if it's the main event of the show, or I believe it is, but if not, it's still a match. Trust me, because I remember this one from when we taped it. You do not want to miss the story we just talked about. Nic Nemeth, during his explanation, got busted by the young hotshot up-and-comer Leon Slater. And that set up a one-on-one match between Nic Nemeth and Leon Slater for this week's Impact. And dude, I remember calling this one.
You just had a core memory.
It was just like Leon. Let's just say that Leon continues to show why he is considered who he is, why he is the youngest in charge. He'll probably be the youngest X Division champion ever. Blah blah blah.
How old is he?
20 or I think just turned 21.
Jeez, crazy. God,
I'm old.
And he's absolutely insane. But like him and Nic have a barn burner, so that you do not want to miss it. All of that plus more on TNA Impact this week.
Plus, will Hannifin's water survive the show?
No,
it won't.
Probably will not.
Not if Frankie Kazarian's out there. Absolutely not. But fellas, That's the Impact Report for the week. We appreciate all of you for tuning in to our special little TNA YouTube exclusive episode here. Of course, please do us a favor. If you like this, as well as the other amazing shows that we do, do all the mumbo jumbo, subscribe, leave a comment down below. In fact, let us know, like we said earlier, what kind of match you want to see between Mustafa Ali and Mike Santana. What stipulation settles that beef? And do all those things below. Throw some meat too while you're at it. If you don't have an answer, throw some meat. Discord, socials, all of that will be down below in the description. Follow us absolutely everywhere. And make sure you tune in tomorrow for our WWE Focus episode. Until the next time, he's GB, he's Jake, I'm the Drama King. We will see you on the next one.